everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynne. I'm Dr. Brooke.
And I'm Dr. Lynne.
And we're so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, this week we're talking about constructive criticism. How it's important, why it's important that we accept feedback from those people that we love, and how to go about doing that.
Yeah, I think...
And this starts with a story, right? So why don't
you
you
just jump in and tell
right
the story? Okay, I'm going to tell the story. So, first child... I was humongous, to say the least. Yes, I was. You're being nice. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Anybody who's just had a baby is bigger than they remember.
But I mean, I remember in my sixth month going to my midwife and her going, what is happening? Like, you need to stop eating. You have gained far too much weight. And I was like, what? I thought I was eating for 2. And she's like, you're not actually eating for 2. I was like, why didn't you tell me? Like, it was the whole thing. So
you
I had
gained some weight, but anyway, as many of us do.
Okay, I digressed and I sidetracked ourselves. So 6 weeks after I had Anthony, first child, your husband, a bunch of our friends from college. It was our first year out, and you all came to our house, got together for the whole weekend. We went through an entire day. I'm in a pair of pants that I think, you know how it is after you have your babies.
And it was summer.
It was summer.
You're in a tank top.
Yes, and you feel like...
Well, you had just given birth to a
That's
baby,
what I mean.
And then all of the fluid.
You're 6
I mean,
weeks
you're
out.
30 pounds less than you had been.
You feel a lot, at least I did. I felt a lot thinner. So I have on these like tight sweat pants that I was like trolling around the house all day. And we went to bed that night. It was not like the morning, and I didn't have those on only an hour. It was all day long. That night we went to bed, and my husband looks at me and goes, can I tell you something without you getting upset? And I was like, sure, of course. What is it? What's going on? I was preparing myself, preparing my heart. And he's like, don't ever wear those pants again. And you guys, I've told that story so many times. I was like, what? And he was like, don't wear those pants again. They're not flattering. Like, not at this stage. And I could have, as maybe many women would have been, like, really, really upset about that. But I was like, oh my gosh. First of all, thank you for telling me. And also, P.S., you could have told me in the morning when I first had them on so I could change.
Yes, but I'll never forget that smile on your face. You were just, like I said, you were feeling yourself. And so I'm glad flash forward, we have this story to tell. So, the point of it is, I think, when you because we all can be hurt by that. Were you hurt in even just the littlest bit, or did you take it that way? Because that's pretty mature. That's good.
I mean, I wasn't hurt. I don't remember my feelings being hurt by that. But that's not to say that I think I'm a little unusual there. I think, I grew up in a really snarky family with 2 brothers who always made fun of me and ripped on me and told, and it just, somehow I came out of that. It made me stronger, and somehow I came out of that not with, all of this feeling bad about myself. It made me, I just don't take... Yeah. I don't take it personally, and I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, because in the end, don't we all want to know what... I just wish there was some way to just really get to have people tell you what they think. I've always thought about that. If there's an app we can develop, but to keep it on a constructive side, right?
In a kind way, obviously.
In a kind way, because there's going to the extreme where people can, and that's on them. And we just recently talked about that 2 weeks ago, where it might be something that's threatening them.
Yeah. That
feedback. So you do have to have a filter and a lens through which you decide, is this constructive criticism, or is this jealousy or envy or somebody else's baggage they're dumping onto me?
Well, yes. And there's the important point there is, how much do you trust the person that's giving you the criticism?
Right.
But if you have an inner circle, and hopefully you have, if you're in a relationship, spouse, partner, whatever it is, if you trust that person and it's a healthy relationship, you should trust them to give you feedback. If you have, like you and I, if you came to me and was like, Brooke, we need to have those conversations.
Yeah, and so I think it's a good time to take inventory. Is this something that you and your inner circle, do you have those types of conversations? And if not, then why? Is it because maybe you haven't accepted that feedback well in the past, and what could you do to get to a place where you could take the sting out of that compliment and just see it as, this is a way that I can grow and actually use this information to do better next time, or to, grow in a different direction.
Yeah. It's such an important thing. I think that we've really are becoming, just in general, I feel like, soft. And there's something to be said for being able, if you don't have people in your life that are edifying you, that are able to speak truth to you, even if it's a hard truth that you need to hear, how are you going to grow?
Yeah.
How are you going to make the changes to become a better version of yourself? If all you have is people constantly telling you how wonderful everything is and how good you are, which by the way is important too. But if you need to hear the other side of things too, because none of us are perfect. There's always ways that we can make improvement. And sometimes we don't see that in ourselves.
You can't read the label from inside of the jar. So we need to have people who we can trust to give us good, constructive feedback.
Yeah.
And that brings up a good question. I love your comment about us being soft. I think we would all agree that, as the generations go through. So how can you take this conversation into your kids? Are you able to give your kids constructive feedback without them getting their guards up? And on the other side, can your kids get it to you? So if you're expecting for them to receive what you tell them, it starts with you being a better acceptor of their criticism, because then you're mirroring and giving them an example to follow.
Right. And this is not like them, like, there's a fine line between constructive criticism and then just being mean. Like, teens can be jerks sometimes, let's face it, especially if they're being hormonal or they've had a bad day. So it's not like we have to be wise enough to navigate what is constructive feedback and what's not, right? But you're right. And I just had a conversation with my middle son, Andrew. I don't know even if I told you this, but he got his hair cut on Saturday. And he came home, and Andrew's like always looking at himself in the mirror, but he was like looking at himself in the mirror at his new haircut, and he'd scheduled the appointment and gone and done it himself. And he was like, "Mom, do you like my hair? Like, look at my hair, look how good it was." And I was like, "I don't like it." And I did. And he was like, "What do you mean you don't like it?" I was like, "Well, didn't he leave it like too long on the sides here? It looks a little," but like, we had this conversation. He was like, "Mom, what? I can't believe you just like, what? You're saying you don't like my haircut?" And I said, "Andrew, you asked me. I assume when you ask me for feedback that you want the truth. I go, if you don't want the truth, let me know, and I can just blow smoke up your ass just to make you like feel good about it. But if you're gonna ask me and you want my opinion, I'm gonna give you my honest feedback. It doesn't mean you can't love it. It's your hair,
right? And that teaches them to stand in their truth, like what they. If he really did love it, then he needs to be okay with that.
And the further conversation was, you're right. I'm sorry I'm cutting you off, but the further conversation was like, listen, if you love it, then you shouldn't care what I think about it. It's your hair. It's your head. You look at it every day. But you asked me, and he looked at me. He's like, that's fair. He's like, you're right. I did want to know. He's like, I can't believe it because it's a great haircut. But I did ask your opinion, and I would want you to be truthful.
And that brings up another good point. So if you're asked, right? That's the criteria for if you're on the side of giving the feedback to your kids or to your spouse or to your friend. Hold it in until you're asked, and then it will be treated with much more gravity, right? Because if you're that person that's always giving the feedback as you see it, then that becomes your opinion, and you're not really, following some boundaries on that. So, but if you're asked, give your truthful, in a kind way.
Yes.
We can practice that, delivering it with tact.
Absolutely.
But don't just, I love that. Don't blow smoke up somebody's butt, which I think we do that as females because we're afraid of hurting feelings.
Yes.
But I think that's how you get to be in someone's inner circle, is knowing that they can rely on you to tell the truth, and that it's grounded in the wanting the best for you, but not being afraid to tell you.
Yeah. And we just recently had a conversation too about something was going on with you that you were talking through to me, and you said to me, like, you need to tell me, like, if I'm in the wrong here, or there's something I can change about myself and how I'm handling this situation. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Please tell me, because I want to know that. And you, like, we know each other enough. Like, I would tell you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just say, "Oh, you did nothing wrong, honey. It's all
I don't
them."
want that at this stage of my life.
No,
you know?
because we need to be
Yeah.
reflective on ourselves, and we need
Yeah.
to show, if we want to show up as our best
Especially
selves.
if this is a problem. So in that particular instant, this has really been something I've been butting my head up against. So I don't just want to keep butting my head. I want constructive help from you and from anybody else I spoke about it so that I can move past it. And we really need to, I think, get in a place where we can be okay with telling our loved ones what they need to hear, not just what they want to hear.
Yeah. When asked.
When
And in the
asked.
appropriate situation.
And with tact and kindness.
Absolutely. And I'll circle it back to that conversation with my husband. And some of that, I started the conversation just to keep it light. So, because this is a heavy
This
conversation,
is a true story, though.
right? But it is a true story. But as women, and we do this, and there's jokes about this, like, if you ask your significant other how you look in something, because if you told, like, the joke is, like, I don't know what to say, because if I say you look great,
Yeah.
you're gonna think I'm lying, and if I say no, don't wear that, then your feelings are gonna be hurt. So, like, if you ask, you really want the answer,
Get
like,
ready
or
for
just don't, yeah, like.
And then for the husband's side, there's ways to say, you know, instead of saying, I don't like that, or you look terrible, obviously that's not delivering it in the best way.
Yeah.
You could say things like, you know, I prefer you in other things, but
Yeah.
that's just my opinion, right?
Right. Yes.
I'm trying to think about how my husband will do it. He's found some good ways to sidestep that. Like, I don't know that that's as flattering as it could be on
Yes.
you. You have, and he's figured this out from scar tissue, right? But he's like, you know, you have a beautiful body, and I don't think that accentuates it.
That's great.
How nice is that? And
Yeah.
that's just an example that we could use.
Yeah, instead of take it off, it doesn't look good. In my family, it would be more like, no, that's a hard no. Don't wear it again. But I have to remember, not every family and not every relationship is like that.
I love
Most
it.
are probably not.
I want to be a Stillwell child.
Oh, my kids have thick skin, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I would say. Anyway, anything else to add?
No, I think, just love on your friends and your spouse, but be loving to yourself, and know that if something's coming your way and you filtered it and it's sound advice, you can get your feathers ruffled, but listen, because that's a true friend, somebody that would take the time to care to give you their absolute opinion.
It has to really make sure, you guys, in this conversation, that it's somebody that you trust and that you really value their opinion and you care about, and you know they've got your back.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if somebody tells you, it could be your best friend, it could be your husband, whoever it is, that they don't like what you're wearing, or maybe you shouldn't put, not they don't like what you're wearing, but it's not the best suited for you. If you love it, then who cares?
Yeah, and be okay with that.
If you feel good in it, and you know, it's...
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah. All right.
Well, we've got your back, so.
Yes. And I've got your back, and you've got mine.
Yeah.
I have a t-shirt that says that. Thank you so much for joining us. We're always happy to have you here. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Pinterest, and www.lifeafterkids.com.
Guys, have the best week and make it count.